Hi guys, so this is coordinate geometry for Tuesday. We're going to look at distance, midpoint, and then looking at just some basic figures in the coordinate plane. So the first couple questions, and I'm on page 322 here, are about the distance between 2 points. Now there is a distance formula. They will not give you the formula on the ACT, and it's actually kind of like it's not necessary to memorize it. And I'm going to show you the method of how to solve these types of problems without having to memorize that formula. So this first one here, number 35. In the standard xy coordinate plane, what is the distance between the points with coordinates 4, 3, and 2, 7? So what we want to do here is we want to draw a picture. Okay, so you're going to have to be semi-accurate here because we have to be able to count correctly to get the right answer. But so I'm going to just make my coordinate plane. My first point here is at 4, 3. And my second point is at 2, 7. Okay. So there are my 2 points. So I'm wanting to find this distance. So what I actually want to do here is I want to make a right triangle out of these points. So I'm going to drop this one straight down and then connect it like that. So here is my right triangle. What I need to get correct here are these distances, okay, of my straight edges. So here I'm going from 2 to 4, which gives me a distance of 2. Here I'm going from 3 to 7, which gives me a distance of 4. And you can kind of double check using your points to make sure that those are right. If you look at your x values, you're going from 2 to 4, so that's 2 units away. Your y's, you're going from 3 to 7, which is 4 units away. And so to find your distance, we can use Pythagorean theorem, because even if you don't have the distance formula memorized, it really just comes from Pythagorean theorem, which I think most people do have memorized. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So plugging that in, that would give me 2 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. Remember, c always has to be the hypotenuse, the side across from the right angle. So that gives me 4 plus 16 equals c squared, or 20 equals c squared. So take the square root to get root 20. And that's the distance between those 2 points. So my answer here is D. So here is the next one. Same type of problem, except it's a word problem. So you have to figure out where your points need to be plotted. So it says, Kristen and Jenny are installing new playground equipment in their backyard for their younger sisters. If they place the trampoline 8 yards east and 2 yards south, so that's the first point that I need to plot here. So I'm going to, again, go ahead and draw coordinate plane. Okay, so that first one was 8 yards east and 2 yards south. So I need to go right 8, 2 south, so here. That point, if I want to plot it, would be 8, negative 2. The second one, it says let's see here, the outdoor fireplace, and the swing set is 4 yards west and 5 yards north. So I'm going to go left 4, and then up 5. So about there, which would be the point negative 4, 5. And then how far in yards is the distance from the trampoline to the swing set. So again, I am finding how far away these 2 points are. So again, I want to drop this down and make this into a right angle here. I went a little far. This is only at negative 2 down here. So about there. So I need to figure out how far away these points are. So for my x value, or this line down here, I'm going from a negative 4 to a positive 8. And if I count, that gives me a total of 12 units. And then up and down here, I'm going from a negative 2 to a positive 5, which is a total of 7 units. So then to set up, I'll have 7 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. So 49 plus 144 is equal to c squared. That is 193 equals c squared. And take my square root, and there I have my answer. h. Okay, so that's how we're going to solve problems, or one way of solving problems that ask about distance is just plotting your points, making a right triangle, and then using Pythagorean theorem. If they ask you questions about figures on coordinate planes, usually the easiest thing to do is just try and draw your own picture and then use ballparking process of elimination to find the right answer. So for this one, it says 3 vertices of a square in the standard xy coordinate plane have the coordinates, and then it gives the 3 points. So I'm going to go ahead and plot these the best that I can here. So 3, -5 is the first one. 7, -1 is the second one, and then 3, 3 is the third one. What are the coordinates of the fourth vertex? So you can kind of see here what this is going to look like. It says that it's a square, and this is not perfect, but, you know, so it should be somewhere around here on that fourth point. If you're just looking at the x's, -1 versus -4, I think -4 is too far away, and so I think we can eliminate all the x's that have the -4. So then you're down to -1. So your options are -1, -1, which would be about here, which might make a little more sense with my picture, or -1, +7, which would be all the way up here, and that doesn't make sense. So I know my answer has to be H. And then last are midpoint questions. So on one of the other pages it goes over the midpoint formula. I'm just going to write it here. If you have 2 points, to find the midpoint, you want to add your x's together and divide by 2. So really you're averaging your x's, and then you're averaging your y's. Same thing here, okay, to find the middle of each of those values. So, number 30, in the standard xy coordinate plane, the diameter of a circle has endpoints at 5, -2 and -3, 2. What are the coordinates of the center of the circle? This is really just a midpoint problem. Remember, the diameter of the circle is the distance all the way across, cutting through the middle. And so you know that the middle, the center of the circle, would have to be in the midpoint, okay, of those 2 points. So we're going to use our formula here to solve this problem. So I'm going to add my x's together to start, so 5 plus that -3, and then average, so divide by 2. Then add my y's together, divide by 2. So this gives me 2 over 2, and then 0 over 2. So my midpoint is 1, 0. Okay. So here are the practice problems that I want you to go do. Again, pause this video, see if you can kind of work through those, and then once you have it completed, keep going with it. And I'm going to go through the answers. Okay, number 39. Madeline and Lydia have laid out a map of their neighborhood in XY coordinates, with each unit equal to 1 mile. If their house is at the point 2, -4, and their grandmother's house is at the point 7, 3, how far apart in miles are the 2 houses? So this is just a distance problem. Again, we want to go ahead and draw coordinate plane and then mark our points here. First point is at 2, -4. Second point is at 7, 3. We want to find this distance. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my right triangle. Okay. So my x values, I'm going from 2 to 7, so up here that's going to be a distance of 5. My y values, I'm going from -4 up to +3, so that's going to be 7 over here. So Pythagorean theorem, 5 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared to find this distance between my points. So I'm going to have 25 plus 49 equals c squared. Let's see here, sorry. So then, what is that? 74 equals c squared. Take the square root of both sides, and so I get b, square root of 74. Next one, number 48. What is the area of triangle DEF with vertices in the standard XY coordinate plane at? And then it gives me 3 points. So again, I'm going to go ahead and start by graphing these. So 3, -4 is my first point. 6, 0. And then -1, -4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make this triangle here. So this one's kind of tricky. This is a figure problem. It's asking for the area of the triangle. So you have to remember that the area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. So the base is the bottom. That's pretty easy to see, and I can just count to find how many units that is. I'm going from a -1 over here to a +3 over here. So my base, it looks to be 4 units long. And then my height, remember, is the distance from the base to the highest point. So this value is actually going to be my height. So I'm going from -4 to 0. So my height is also 4. So 4 times 4 is 16, times 1/2 is equal to 8. So the area here is 8. 27, in the XY coordinate plane, what is the midpoint of the line segment that connects points 0, 1, and 4, 5? So again, a simple midpoint problem. I'm going to add my x's together, divide by 2, add the y's, divide by 2. So I get 4 over 2, and then 6 over 2. So the midpoint is at 2, 3, which is C. And then last one, number 19, what is the perimeter of the triangle formed by the x-axis, the y-axis, and the line 3y equals 4x plus 12? Okay, so I need to draw in these 3 lines, but for this last one, I'm going to go ahead and get this into y equals mx plus b form and divide everything by 3. So y equals 4/3 x plus 4. Okay, so when I draw my picture here, I'm going to go ahead and graph that one first. So 4/3 x plus 4. So I'm starting at plus 4. My slope is 4/3, which means up 4, right 3. But I'm actually going to go down 4 and left 3. Because when I draw that, that gives me my corner points for my triangle. Because then my other lines I'm using are my x-axis and my y-axis. So these two plus that line, and that gives me the triangle that I'm looking at. The question is to find the perimeter of this triangle. So a couple of these are easy. This is obviously 4. This is obviously 3. I can use Pythagorean theorem, since this is a right triangle, to find my third side. So 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. So 25 equals c squared. Take the square root, and that is just 5. That's also a really common one. If you noticed right away that that's 3, 4, that hypotenuse is going to be 5. That's called a Pythagorean triple. So if you have that one memorized, you could have just gone ahead and labeled that one. So then the perimeter is found by adding up all the sides, right? So I just need to take 5 plus 4 plus 3 to get 12. My answer is C. All right, good job, guys.